Hello, Orvillians around the world. Today is a very exciting day for talking the Orville, for the Orville universe, the Orville community, the Orville. We are so excited here to have a fourth season of the Orville up and coming, up on the horizon somewhere out there. It's coming for us, and I'm going to keep you all updated on everything that happens with production of the Orville. And of course, we're going to talk about every single episode that will be coming up eventually, as well as every episode that we already know and love as we count down the days for a season 4 of the Orville. But this is a very special day because we're doing something different, something new, and something that's going to be going on month after month until YouTube doesn't let me do it anymore. We're going to be talking to some of you live right here on the screen. Instead of just, having to type into the chat box. So 5 of you don't have to type into the chat box. But right now we have 4 of you, and we're waiting on the 5th person. It might be a time zone issue. It's hard to get all the time zones. We got people all around the world here ready to chat. And what are we going to chat about today? For We Are the Orville. We're going to be talking about the Season 3, Episode 6 of the Orville New Horizons, Twice in a Lifetime. This is an amazing episode. It's a beloved episode. It's also an episode that has caused a lot of conversation and discussion about the things that that occur in this episode, because that's a time travel episode, and nobody really truly understands time. There's so many different ways time travel can exist in our minds, I suppose. But let's go ahead and take a look at what episode we're talking about today. Here we are, face to face, a bunch of Orville fans. What's going on, you guys? And James, I'm glad you made it. We were worried for a second, but you made it just in time. So good to see you. Cy Winship, Mark Lawrence, ARCHMAGEFREY, and Alex Has Snakes. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. All good.
Thanks for having us.
Pretty good.
All right, everyone sounds great. You got a snake. You actually do has snakes.
This is my emotional support Burmese python Calliope.
Hey, there you go. Are you ever afraid the snake's gonna get out and on its own while you're sleeping at night or something like that?
It's not that it's never happened, so I pay a lot of money for really nice caging so that it doesn't again.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Well, I specialize in rescuing giant pythons. So people like this Burmese python here can get to 16 feet long and weigh about 200 pounds.
Oh, wow.
She was available for sale for $100. And so people buy these things, don't know what they're getting into, and then I end up with them.
No, at least someone's out there for them. Cy Winship, I've been seeing your posts on, I'm calling it Twitter. I'm not going to call it X, on Twitter for years now. You've been a huge supporter of the Orville and talking the Orville. How are you doing today?
I'm all good. Good. Hello, children. Splendid. It's all good here in the UK. It's just after 8:05 in the evening.
Oh, wow. Much earlier where I'm at. And Mark Lawrence, did you get a haircut since I last saw you?
I donated it last summer when I was in Texas before I went to Disney World, because I did not want to deal with long hair at Disney World.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Well, it's good to see you. James Bartlett, we haven't met yet. How are you? How's your Orville life going?
Everything's going good, man. So far so good anyway. Sorry I wasn't there earlier, by the way. So I had some technical difficulties, but
no problem. I get it.
All good. Yeah.
And
ARCHMAGE again last night, by the way.
What, say again?
I was just watching the episode again last night, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
Amazing episode. Incredible episode.
For sure.
Absolutely. ARCHMAGE, you have been trolling not trolling, but I'm just going to use the word trolling. You've been trolling the comments on these live shows for years now. It's good to finally meet you live in person. How are things going on in your neck of the woods?
Pretty good. Excited to represent the Orville on this fantastic day of another franchise that's not quite as good, but
that's right. May
It's
the
still in the right
may the
ballpark.
force be with you, as Captain Mercer coined in an episode of the Orville. And then Alex has snakes. We know he is rescuing snakes. And also, if you want to watch Alex's TikTok, we have a link in the description. We also have a link for ARCHMAGEFREY's YouTube channel in the description below. And then if any of you other fellas want to send me a link in the private chat, I will definitely update the show notes after we're done with this conversation here. And Orville audience, I'm a little bit different than a lot of some other channels out there that do a roundtable where everyone gets their turn. This is more of a discussion. So if you have something to say, you got something to say. If you don't have something to say, you don't have something to say. We're sitting at a table at a coffee shop having a conversation is the way I like to run these things. Not that I run them very often, but that's about to change. And don't forget, next week, we are doing something similar to this, but with leaders of the Orville fandom. We have Mike Richards from Mission Log, Elise from the Orville video game, the Orville, I want to say 2D video game, but the new one looks kind of 2D in a 3D world. We also are going to have Eric Moran from the Orville fan series, Planetary Step. And we're also hoping, if he's free, we're going to have PJ from Orville Nation, who is the glue that keeps the entire community together. So you guys, twice in a lifetime, what are your thoughts on this episode? Anybody can talk, say what you want to say, talk all at the same time if you want. No, please try not to do that.
Can I start with something real quick?
Go for it.
We talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, but I rewatched this episode about 2 weeks ago. Loved it. Didn't have time to watch it last night, so I spent last night and a bit of this morning watching reviews, seeing what people thought. And a common complaint I heard about this episode is that it is too long. And something I don't quite understand with that is in watching this episode feels shot as if it could be its own standalone film. And I really feel like that's what they were going for. And so for a lot of people, I do understand a complaint that some people said it just felt a little bit padded, of like, hey, everything needed to be there, but some things were too long. And I can see that complaint, but for how put together this story is, something that I think this episode doesn't get enough praise for is it feels like there isn't filler. It feels like everything is at least in some way important to the next thing, where with a lot of shows, including the Orville, I can go through a couple episodes of the Orville and tell you one or two scenes you probably should have snipped. But this episode feels like, for all the complaints it gets about being too long, I feel like it's the best paced episode of the show.
Hard to say what they could have cut, really. I mean, there's 400 years worth of footage, so but it's still hard to see where they would have cut it out.
Yeah, one of the things I know that Seth was excited about when moving to Hulu and moving to streaming is they no longer had to cut out anything from the episodes. They could put everything in an episode that they want to put in. Whereas the previous seasons, they had to film scenes, and then when they're editing, they had to cut them out. So this time we get everything that's on Seth's mind in the show.
I thought this episode and the next one, which we're not talking about, what was it, Unknown Graves?
Yeah, from Unknown Graves.
From Unknown Graves, yeah. I mean, those two, to me, kind of are very deftly edited. You know, I agree. I don't see what they could have cut out. I think they're both really well paced, you know. I mean, it's just such a huge story, this one, isn't it? And it raises huge questions as well. You know, a lot of which there are no answers to.
And they don't give us the answers, which is one thing I appreciate about the Orville. They raise a question for you to think about, and they don't necessarily tell you the answer. They want you to come up with the answer yourself.
Well, Ed himself says in that episode, we don't know, and that's why we're not doing it. It's absolutely brilliant.
I actually have no police or anything. They're just figuring it out as they go.
Yeah, and they even say in the episode, like when Laura's saying, "Are you going to erase us, erase our family?" and Claire says, "We don't know," because they don't know. So we're meant to assume. And actually, I have some of one of the things about the episode that fans are always talking about since day one is Gordon's family. Some people believe their family's gone. Some people don't believe it. I don't believe the family's gone, but I mean, there's 4 or 5 different reasons why I don't think the family's gone, but I also think the family could be gone. We don't know how time exactly works, but here's a clip right here for everybody to watch.
Oh, man. So, what's your good news? Oh, I got fired. What? Yeah, I complimented the boss's butt and got fired on the spot. Surprised the guy couldn't take a compliment. How is that good news? I hated that job. Honestly, I don't think I was meant to be a teacher.
Now, for those of you who don't know, that full scene is not in the episode. The episode just shows a little bit of it playing on the television, but that is the full scene that they created for what I think should be a sitcom that should actually be made, like the Otter Couple or something like that. I have a theory.
It's not one more year for it to be made. So
yeah, there we go. So
Johnny Knoxville and McBrayer, if you're watching,
get it going. And that was filmed on the Fox lot. I have a theory of how they got Johnny Knoxville. I believe at the same time that this episode was filmed, Johnny Knoxville was on the Fox lot filming the show Reboot.
Yes.
So I assume that's how they were able to nab him and get him on the show. Jim McBrayer, I haven't looked into what he was doing at the time, but maybe something similar.
Also just known to say yes to funny stuff.
Yeah, and dangerous stuff.
That's true.
So maybe we get him as a stunt coordinator for the next season. A lot more people getting kicked in the balls, I guess.
In my memory, it was an episode of Reboot because that show had not come out yet at the time. So I thought it was like some synergy they were doing behind the scenes.
Okay.
But no, Jack wasn't in that, so I don't know. Maybe it was partially there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's other there's a lot of productions going on at the same time at the Fox lot. So maybe he was just on some other show or a game show or something like that, and they just nabbed him as well. I have a hard time thinking any of them auditioned. I feel like they were just say, "Hey, you want to do this real quick?"
Yeah, that's why I brought up him saying yes to fun stuff. If he was shooting that show and they were doing the Orville, there's every chance, like you said, they literally just walked over there and said, "Hey, can we borrow you for an hour?" And they told him what to do, and he thought it was funny.
Yeah, and some actors, they can learn lines just like that.
Do you want to be in a show that doesn't exist? You can be the star.
Yeah, right. But the show that doesn't exist will be on a show that does exist. And that gets into the mentality of this episode with all the time travel. There's always what ifs and is this moral, the things that were going on. I don't know if it was even moral that, because Ed and Kelly, well, I guess the whole union is down on Gordon for interacting with people, changing the timeline. Assuming he changed it all. What if he was in previous episodes of the Orville, the entire history of the world, he was actually there the whole time and didn't know it. And maybe what he did then in 2015 beyond affected the modern day Orville universe. I mean, you can go on and on with different theories.
Maybe somebody else was supposed to have the Orville license plate and he just snapped it right up from under him.
That's right. I think someone, well, I didn't have, when I got my car last year, I was like, man, I want to have an Orville license plate, Orville ECV 197, because then it would actually just look like a real license plate and no one would know it's connected to the Orville. But then I saw the prices for doing that and I'm like, no, not worth it. I'll just keep making Orville content online.
Do they have an Orville bumper sticker like the Coexist, but it's just the Orville?
I don't know. If they do, and it's official, it'll be on the Hulu website, on the Hulu store, because they have a bunch of Orville stuff on there. but it's not super exciting Orville stuff. T-shirts, shot glasses, things like that.
They have it. This T-shirt is official. You can get it on the Hulu store. Go there now.
Nice.
Support the Orville, everyone.
Yes, please do. A lot of people don't realize Hulu.com has Orville stuff. And also, I don't know if there's a link in the description below, but the guide to the Orville is available for pre-order. Comes out on September 24th. Is written by Andre Bormanis, one of the executive producers and writers for the show. And it goes in depth with everything about the Orville universe, everything about being a crewman on the ship, but also comes with a really great diagram of the ship, also, or schematics of the ship, and the different discipline badges comes with it, and it's just a really fancy looking book. Highly recommend it. Pre-order is available now, I believe, in the description below, and if it's not, I'm sorry, but it's on Amazon.
And read all the comics.
Yeah, read all the comics. Those are on Amazon too.
Something I want to bring up real quick just before we move on is similar to yourself in making the content. Something that is really dope is the amount of creative people who are just making cool Orville merch that you can go on and get. I see people making uniforms, handmade metal like badges and different things. Like the amount of just cool swag you can get from Orville fans themselves is insane.
Yeah, I have an Orville command uniform in the closet. I don't wear it that much because I don't fit into it as well as I would like to fit into it. But yeah, I have one of those that was sent to me by Matt Weiss from Parnakasha Productions. Was that a year or two ago? It's awesome. I'm sure it's not show quality, like if you're on there, but if you just look at it, it looks pretty show quality. Oh no, he disappeared. He'll be back.
Do you know what I love about the Orville though?
What's that?
It's back in 2017 when the Orville debuted. It debuted at the same time as another franchise, which we won't get into.
Yeah, I believe it debuted a week before.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I remember them debuting on the same night, but my memory could be wrong. But anyway, So I think a lot of us felt let down by that franchise coming back. And then there was the Orville. And the experience I've had with the Orville is obviously I wasn't there because I'd look really great for my age, but it's the closest I can imagine coming to what it was like watching Star Trek back in the 60s. Right? There's just a massive community, and they didn't even have the internet back then. So how they kind of kept things going and got all those conventions together and, fan merchandise, all that sort of thing, who knows? But,
yeah, well, I think like conventions and stuff, that started with the fans. The fans said, well, this show needs a convention. So somebody made one, and it was bigger than they thought, and then they kept doing it for years, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
I see that happening with the Orville one day, probably. I mean, it's just a really fan-led community. I feel like,
Yeah, that is exactly why I'm doing We Are the Orville. It's such a fan-driven thing that it's like, well, we need to start getting these fans and these fandom leaders up talking to everybody and talking about the Orville and getting more people to watch the Orville. Even though there's already a lot, we need a lot more in this day and age because there's a lot of competition. Not necessarily quality competition, just competition.
Yeah. And the way that the creators and the writers and the cast and crew, they all interact with the fans, is amazing. You don't see that with a lot of shows.
No, hardly any. And even Seth takes the time to respond to me every once in a while when he can. And I can't think of a busier person in Hollywood than Seth MacFarlane, but he'll take the time out and, chat a little bit about this or that. And it's just so great. It's so great.
I remember Jay Lee showing up on one of your chats, one of your YouTube chats, literally just there he was in the chat. It's like, wait, it's great. I agree that the cast and crew do seem to really want to interact with the fans, which you can't knock that.
No, you can't, and especially nowadays. I'm so surprised that they really go out of their way because the internet is just chock full of naysayers and people that want to be down on you for whatever reason. But there's also a lot of amazing people on the internet, but you just have to, get through all the negative people first to find the great people. I think one thing that I loved about talking to Orville, doing this for all these years now, is the community has really come through and just become just a really great positive force, not just for me, but for the fandom. The fandom is a positive fandom. You don't find that almost anywhere nowadays with other shows out there.
Mm-hmm. And kudos to you, by the way, JP, because I remember when you started this, man, you were kind of out there doing reviews of the different shows like everyone else. And that's
like everyone else.
Yeah, at some point, I remember you doing a video where you're just like, I'm kind of tired of the complaining and the naysaying, and I kind of want to just have a positive space here. Like, good for him.
Yeah, and it's not good monetarily to do that. And the way everyone makes money is you complain and get people to join you on your fight of complaints about something. And there are things to complain about out there. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, I don't need to go that way. Let's just have a good time. Like we're all friends hanging out, talking about stuff and not putting each other down or other things down, unless you really got to.
Like, something that's amazing even about the cast of the show is I met them at Dragon Con one year. And they were there promoting the show, and their section everyone had just come through, and so no one was over there. So you had like 5 or 6 cast members sitting there and no one at their tables. And
wow.
So I would just go up and say hi, and I probably spent 15 minutes with each of them individually, just talking about the show. And then I got to Jay Lee, and we talked for 20 minutes, and then I bounced, and then I ran into him on the con floor, and he sat down with me, and we talked for 2 hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that guy is a good dude. I tell you over and over again, he is great. Not just as an Orville person, just as a person. He is a great dude and very inviting. He wants to chat and talk about stuff, and his whole mantra is do better. And he has a Do Better University, which I just talked to him the other day about maybe him doing another one of those and me joining in and just chatting about stuff. So hopefully that happens. We shall see.
Any word if he's going to do another concert series?
Let's see. He did the first one, which was great. That's when I met you, Mark.
Yeah.
And then and he was unsure about doing more, but then, what was it, a few months ago, last year, I can't remember how long it was, he did another one, and that went well, so I assume he's going to keep putting these out, because he's a very talented piano player.
Oh, yeah, those conversations he has in between the sets, those are...
Yeah, he's telling stories.
Those are treasure.
Yeah, telling stories about his life and his family. And I got to meet his whole family, hang out with them a little bit, and they're all great. They're all characters. So I see where Jay Lee gets it from. And then also speaking of not just Jay Lee, but the entire cast and crew of the Orville, once season 4 is publicly announced for everyone, it is happening though. Just because you haven't seen a public announcement doesn't mean it hasn't been picked up for a 4th season. I think it was picked up for a 4th season last year, from my recollection of conversations with production. But it was shh. There was hush the whole time. Now they're starting to kind of say, hey, yeah, there's going to be more. And that means officially there will be a public announcement for everyone. Once that happens, I'll be reaching out and getting as many interviews with any of the cast and crew I could possibly get. So I'm excited for that. Just so you guys in the audience know, Talking the Orville is going to get a lot more Orville-tastic over the not just starting now this month with all these different live shows, but with more content, more interviews, more breakdowns. And we're going to go back to a bunch of episodes that we already know and love and really break down certain moments. But I just have to get time to do that. So once I have time, that's coming. And then maybe you guys will be, maybe I'll draw your names out of the hat again and you'll be here for the next stream as well. Except for you, Mark, you're busy.
Yeah, you're gonna be on the other side of the country.
I think.
Yeah.
I think we're all on pins and needles for that season 4 announcement, but to sign everyone back to their contracts, roughly the size of a small city, I'd imagine, working on that show.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah. I was talking to Tom once, and I said, "What? You guys probably got like 200 people working on the show per episode?" And he's like, "No, it's like 300." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." So it takes a lot of people to make anything in Hollywood, or even off Hollywood, out of Hollywood, in Atlanta or Canada or whatever. It takes so many people to put a thing together that it should be impossible to put anything together. I used to have an idea for doing a podcast called Everything's Impossible, and just talking about, talking to people in the industry about how do they get these things done. It's so hard. You have to work with so many people, and everyone has to be on the same page.
Yeah,
and then you have to shoot during COVID.
Yeah, the Orville had extreme COVID restrictions, and it really affected production. Actually, in this episode is the second episode that was written before COVID, the COVID pandemic, but it was filmed during the COVID pandemic. And you can see in the episode there's a small update in dialogue when Laura actually mentions the pandemic. Even though that was not written in the original script, they updated a little bit for when they filmed it.
I understand they were all guided along very safely by Dr. Larry Brilliant.
Yeah, Larry Brilliant.
Yeah, just Seth MacFarlane to have a doctor on speed call whose last name is actually Brilliant.
Yeah, right. I told Seth, because Seth told me that. And I said, if your last name is Brilliant, you better be brilliant when it comes to doing your job.
Unless you're like a big guy that's named Tiny or something. You don't want to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but can you imagine if that guy can you imagine if that guy became like a construction worker? It just doesn't work. Like Brilliant, the construction, it doesn't work. You got to be a neuroscientist, a pandemic, a math.
Yeah.
You got to be something.
You got to do something smart-brained.
The shirtless guy outside of the Hollister or whatever.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Tiny, let me play a clip here. And I have, it's a fun clip, but I do have a question about it. Here it comes. We'll talk about it on the other end, on the other side.
JP, before you do that, speaking of the opposite of smart-brained, and in the spirit of us being in a coffee shop type atmosphere, when these episodes were airing here on the East Coast of the U.S., they were coming on at like midnight or after midnight.
Oh, goodness.
And, I'd have worked all day. I was working the late shift, so I'd make dinner and I'd sit down and watch the Orville. I remember when this episode aired, I was absolutely exhausted. And when they played that fictional show and they were sat there on the couch watching it, I was going, what's this a clip from?
Yeah, right? It looks like a real show.
Where's this from? Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's the Odd Couple.
Yeah.
You had to watch it at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, I'd get up I would stay up till 3 a.m. and that's when the episode would drop on Hulu.
Yeah.
And so that's when I would watch it on the East Coast. It would drop at midnight on West Coast time, but 3 a.m. East Coast time.
Yeah, I think I got it, I think maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. So for season 3, most of the episodes I did stay up, and I'm usually in bed by 9, you guys. I'm boring like that. So I would stay up just so I can be ready to get up in the morning and just start doing Orville stuff right away. And man, it's good times, good memories.
That's right. It was 3 a.m., wasn't it, on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That double explains why I was like, what's this show?
In an hour and a half episode.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be done like at 4 or 5 in the morning. So here's a clip. Speaking of Tiny, here's a clip, but I do have a question after this clip. Ready? And here. And that was fun. Completely unexpected from a show like The Orville. I mean, the whole episode was really. But my thing that I question about that scene, well, the entire Isaac and Charlie adventure that they had, isn't that too much exposure, too much contact with the people in the timeline? Wouldn't that cause problems even though they're just trying to get some information about the probably Dysonium, something like that. Isn't that too much? Doesn't that go beyond the type of interactions they're supposed to have according to the Union?
I guess you could say that, especially given they took their motorcycles, which could have been really important for something that was supposed to happen later.
What if someone else was supposed to drink that whiskey?
Mm-hmm.
And then they get pregnant.
Oh no.
Okay, so how did the big guy not feel that Isaac's hand was made of metal? Okay, so they got the he's cloaked or whatever in this to look like a British gay man, but but actually, you know, we know he's a robot. We know he's a synthetic. So of course, how does the big guy not feel that this great big hand is made of metal?
I guess the cloak, it's a holographic cloak. I guess it gives him the feeling of skin. It's not just a look; it actually has depth, because in the episode Krill, when they first used that cloak, they would get stuck in the door because the uniforms were so big.
Yeah, that's
some people have cool hands.
Mark Jackson was so funny in this episode. It's always good seeing him when they bring him out of the Isaac costume. Yeah,
well, it's great to see him, but also I still see Isaac when I look in his face. Even though Isaac doesn't really have eyes, just two blue lights, I still see that. You can see the innocence of Isaac, how he doesn't quite understand, how giving him a human face, you can see his innocence.
That's the benefit of putting a real person in the suit instead of just like hiring a voice actor for it.
Yeah, no Robbie the robot going on here. We got a real person inside the fake person.
Really? I am losing.
It's really weird to watch him slip into it. He did it at Dragon Con. We had like that full conversation at the very end. He said something as Isaac, and he'd been the normal guy. And then he did the voice, and watching him break into it for a second so flawlessly and effortlessly freaked me out. I was like, what?
Yeah. I mean,
you're not Isaac. Oh, wait, but you are.
You see him do it, I mean, in the episode from Unknown Graves, where all of a sudden he's in love with Claire and professing his love, and then the emotions chip or whatever it's called doesn't work anymore, and you can see his face just go right back to Isaac. So it's probably very similar to your experience.
I wonder if he ever does that just at a bar or something, just to random people who don't know who he is.
I hope so.
Isaac.
I do it sometimes, but I'm not as good of an Isaac as he is.
Yeah, sometimes it's just when your social battery runs out and you just go flat.
Let's see. I'm looking at the comments here. I want to make sure, because we've been ignoring the chat, all the people that are with us here in the Orville universe. Let's see.
Speaking of the chat, I think this was the episode where I started to come around to Charlie as a character.
She got humanized a little bit for the first time, really.
Is this the first time I think she mentioned her real feelings for Amanda?
I believe so, yeah.
It's implied a bit, but this is the first time she directly says what we were kind of thinking.
Yeah, right. And then we knew, she was in love with her, and she never got to tell her. And of course, it was her best friend and all that stuff too. Let me see. We got to put somebody up on the screen. Oh, Samwise says Mark Jackson slips between Isaac and himself in his cameo videos.
That's a good use of cameo right there.
Yeah, right. And then Curse Tate likes Charlie.
I also enjoyed the comment before Samwise, though. Isaac goes back in time to the 1980s. He should become an action star.
Got it.
If he filled in for Schwarzenegger.
Right.
Well, he is Dolph Lundgren.
Get in the chopper now. Yeah, he's Dolph.
I'll be back.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. That sounded good. Who said that?
That was me.
That was good. We might have to put you in a Kalon suit.
Dude, it's not a tumor.
Come on and slam.
It is not a tumor.
Come on and slam. And welcome to the jam.
Here's another time travel question I have. But let me play the clip. That brings up some point. It's a fun scene, but also was Gordon did Gordon criminally affect the timeline, or is he now part of the timeline? Was he always part of the timeline, and we just didn't know it because he wasn't part of it yet? Was he really? Was he deserving of being charged on criminal actions?
I seem to remember everyone kind of being up in arms at the time that Gordon had to go back, and then Seth said something like, "Does no one realize that he wiped out Laura's entire other life and the life of her like boyfriend that she got back together with?"
Did we just get kicked off?
I think we did because of that clip. Damn you, YouTube! I'm so sick of YouTube. All right, let's see what we can do. It says, your stream has been temporarily blocked because we detected videos belonging to someone else. If you plan to continue...
It was that Isaac impression that did it.
Yeah, that was it. That was too close.
I didn't even bring my right here up yet.
Sorry, everyone.
If you plan to continue, please ensure that the content owner has added your channel to their allow list. Oh, good. Oh, I need to do that. I need to figure out how to get that done. I think I used to be on it, and now I'm not, and because YouTube changes stuff all the time.
Let's call Seth right now.
I know, right? Let's see what I can do to get back. How do I get back on here? If you plan to continue, well, we're continuing now.
It says we're still live.
There's people chatting. I'm assuming they can see us.
Yeah, the chat is still open. That's usually the case. But how do I get it back going? Let me see.
Let me refresh my phone I'm watching from.
Yeah.
I just have to figure out how to get it back on. Maybe I can restart it. Let me see. I can end stream. Hopefully it lets me start it back up on the same URL. But now I know. Hold on. Should I end the stream? Should I end it and then see if it lets me restart it? I don't know if it does.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let me refresh here.
Hey, here we go.
Oh, it's no longer being blocked. Okay, we're coming back. Your stream is no longer being blocked. We were blocked by YouTube for a minute, you guys.
What's the product placement?
Yeah, that's what it was.
I was thinking about that. They actually
Talking the Orville brought to you by Coca-Cola.
Man, YouTube. I'm telling you guys, YouTube. So okay, now I know that YouTube is still not ready.
You're driving along. And
I
pop it open.
They must have changed their settings, so I don't have all the allowances that I used to have because I'll have to get it figured out. I'll have to talk to the show and say, hey, can I get some allowances here? Because YouTube don't know what they used to know because, they're always changing things. So, all right, guys, we are back. We are talking about Twice in a Lifetime, the Orville Season 3, Episode 6. It's a great episode. We have a lot of people in the comments. I don't remember where we left off before we got kicked off by the YouTubes.
We were talking about how everyone was upset that Gordon had to go back, but Seth had brought up, remember he did take over her entire life. Yeah. That's a big point I want to piggyback off that doesn't get brought up a lot. Like, Gordon went back in time, found a woman he loved, but used all of this knowledge he had of her from the future to kind of make her fall in love with him because he knew how to seduce her before she was at the point in her life where he really met her and make her fall in love with him. Like, that's a big part of the story that nobody talks about.
It's like Leo Browns, except it worked.
Yeah, right.
The dry run.
Yeah. Well, also it's like what you're saying is, he had children with her, one child, and she was also pregnant. But what about the children she was originally supposed to have with someone else? Those children were erased because of Gordon's actions.
What if Ted
is that time travel?
Was her ancestor, or her descendant, I should say.
Yeah, Admiral Green. Is it Green? I can't remember his character name. But it's a conundrum because also it's time travel. Did those people ever truly really exist? I mean, we thought they existed, but now that Gordon goes to the timeline, is he now just part of the timeline and whatever happens, happens? Is it is it a multiverse situation? We do know there's 5 or 6 Gordons that got kicked back when he got thrown through time. Does that mean there's 6 Gordons out there that all landed in 2015 in 5 or 6 different universes? And just see how the situation plays out in every single universe. Is there going to be an alternate Gordon that shows up in season 4 looking for revenge?
This Gordon's going to put together a team.
A team of Gordons. What if he puts together a team of Gordons? Yeah, G-Men.
But like he found a way to freeze himself to a specific point and then come out when he knew the team would still be alive, and now he's out after them.
Yeah, maybe he went and collected the other Gordons.
Yeah, he'll have an eye patch, but when it's revealed how he got it, it's something really mundane. Like he walked into a tree.
Yeah, he's walking in a tree, or he accidentally hit himself in the eye when he got scared during a movie.
He sprayed some right guard in his eye and it went bad.
Yeah,
he went animal hunting for the first time and pop.
Yeah, we know that Gordon will try anything without even thinking about it. I mean, I remember in season 3, he ate something that humans aren't supposed to eat, and he got big boils or whatever all over his face. He's like, it looked really good.
Although at the top, didn't Isaac say that until they acted, they were in a superposition of time?
Yes. Yeah. That's true. I mean, and what does that mean? I mean, you could really come up with theories on what that might exactly mean. But they probably said that
means where the time stream they're belonging to.
Yeah.
So if all of the multiverses exist, they're just choosing the one that they're part of.
Yeah. I applaud the production for even trying to navigate a time travel storyline, especially one that kind of does have multiverses. I don't know if they didn't exactly showcase a multiverse, but they're still dealing with that. And multiverses are so complicated. I'm so glad they came up with something that kind of made sense.
It was clever.
Let's see. Lucy says, I've been such a big fan of the Orville and wish more people knew about this stuff. Well, I am trying so hard, Lucy. My whole thing is getting people to not only give the Orville a shot, but to rewatch the Orville, to rekindle their love for the Orville, or just to remind people. So far, I'm getting millions and millions of eyeballs on Orville content every month. That's the way I'm doing things right now while I'm demonetized. I have the Orville shorts that I put out all the time, and I'm getting 30, 45 million views a month. I told Seth, and he was really impressed. He goes, that's more than Family Guy. And so I'm going to keep doing that until I get remonetized, and then I have to do away with all Orville shorts, because that gets things done to your channel, just like we got kicked off from this live stream for a few minutes. YouTube is jerks. That's all I can say.
Well, I think we also need to petition Seth that once season 4 is announced, I think we need to have a Will Wheaton situation with JP. I think they need to bring him over to Hulu and have Talking to Orville be the official after show of each episode.
Oh, yeah. I would love that. And other people can press record on the cameras. That would be great. Hold on, I got a little alert there.
Other people can get kicked off YouTube.
Yeah, no more.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I would just love to be given a job for promoting, so I can continue to promote the Orville, because I know I can do so much better. But I just have half a day a week to even think about it, and that's why we're streaming right now. This is my time to do some Orville stuff, and I try to fit in other things throughout the week. I'll take 15, 20 minutes and make something real quick and throw it up. But I want more time. I used to have more time. But if I have more time, it's going to be dedicated to the Orville, just so you guys know.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I do have one more clip. And this one I don't think will get us kicked off, because this is from an episode of mine. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Let me find the right clip. So we're talking about the 5 Gordons. So here's a little bit of, this is a little bit about the time travel. They picked up Gordon. Gordon was on the planet in 2015 for 6 months originally, and then he put out that distress call, that temporal distress call that the Orville then picked up and then tried to come back and get him. But then when they finally go back to 2015 and pick him up, they pick him up 1 month after he landed, which means he was never there to send the distress call in the first place. It's something that they just missed in the writing process, and they decided to fix it. So here is a little bit of that process, or showing what happened.
Originally, when Gordon sent his distress signal, he said,
"Below to Orville."
The Orville production had to put right what once went wrong. They actually just missed the whole situation about they picked up Gordon too early for him to even send the distress signal. They didn't pick it up at all until after the episode aired. So they quickly went back and fixed it in post. Got some new audio from the actors so they can edit it into the episode. But I'm glad that the Orville is willing to also go back in time, create another multiverse, one where and here we go again.
No.
Why did I get blocked from that? That is an actual live video I have on the channel right now.
Wow.
That's crazy.
You're attacking yourself.
YouTube, I'm so sick of YouTube, but it's the only game in town, unfortunately. Rumble don't got it. I guess Amazon.
That's why we gotta get you on Hulu, man.
I know, right? Just go straight to Hulu.
Yep.
Well, I guess we'll be back.
You'll be on Hulu then.
I will say, it's funny. I had my own thing for why I thought the math at the end of the episode was wrong. I had no idea it was actually a mistake.
Yeah, you had the episode was only up for like a week or so with the original edit, and then they quickly fixed it and got it up so that when you watch, if you watch it now, it's all correct.
Well, I know that, but when not Gordon, JP's character says originally he says like Gordon got here a month ago.
Yeah.
I thought they just jumped to before he ever had the chance to send the distress beacon.
Yeah.
And so they would go get him. How did you know I was here? You send a beacon in the future. We came back before you sent it to get you. I had no idea. I actually didn't know that was a mistake.
Yeah, it was a full-on mistake. They said they just didn't catch it, and they were mad at themselves. So that's another reason they worked so quickly to fix it, because they were mad about it. They're like, how did we miss this? Just like with the shuttles. Sometimes the numbers are off, and they're like, okay, this season we're not going to put the wrong numbers on the shuttle. We're going to look, and they still miss it. Every season there's a shuttle that has the wrong call sign on it, and they're like, because it's all just a piece of property in their computers, and they just missed the call sign. We're back, you guys. YouTube did it again, and this is how bad YouTube is. That video, that clip that I just played, is from a video of mine that I already have on the channel that's live, and there's nothing wrong with it. YouTube is fine with it. Why did they not let me play the clip, or they punish me for playing the clip from already fine video that's on this channel? Oh, YouTube, you guys, I'm having such a hard time.
Twice in a live stream.
Yeah, twice in a live stream. But I think that's all the clips I have. And the other clips were no problem that we played. The first couple clips, just those last two. YouTube is the worst. And I'm sorry you guys are on YouTube right now.
Man, when YouTube does it, it's a little like when Ed Kelly and Tala showed up at Gordon's door,
Yeah, I was going to include that in that first clip I played. And I was like, okay, this is too long. Let me just get to the nuts and bolts of the scene, which is Gordon saying, this family is stronger than time. But I want to see the family again in season 4.
I think
and then
it will happen, or at least some form of we'll see Laura or something at some point.
yeah, right. I mean, now people really want that character to return. I mean, more than ever. So, and I think it'd be great if Gordon's family officially didn't get erased, because we never saw it in the episode. They just alluded maybe, maybe not.
Yeah,
It'd be
That's a funny
interesting to
thought
see how
about that.
Gordon reacts to it too.
Yeah, because the Gordon they have now never met that family. Of course, he already knows and who Laura is and loves her.
Well, he was very on board with their decision at the end. He was very,
Yeah.
screw the other me. I was a bad guy.
Yeah, right. He was like, I can't believe I did that.
Selfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good old Gordon. I mean, there's so many. What's that?
JP, real quick, I do have to get going to take care of a medical thing, but I want to thank everyone for having me on, and thank you guys for the opportunity.
Well, I want to thank you for joining on, for being a Patreon, for putting your name out there to be chosen. It was great. Maybe you'll get chosen again. But thanks for joining the conversation.
Great to have you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Alex.
All
Nice
right.
to meet you, mate.
And audience, don't forget, you can check out Alex's TikTok. The link is in the description of this video. And then there were 5.
Did I just get bigger?
Yeah, something happened. It adjusted. Let me see what other options they have real quick.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Look at that option. I love StreamYard, you guys. It not only makes this possible, and my solo live shows possible. It also will be making all my upcoming interviews with the Orville cast and crew, and whoever else I might interview is going to make that possible, because not only can you go live, you can do pre-recorded stuff as well. And you can even do webinars, but I don't know the first thing about what that means.
I hate the word webinar as well. Just saying.
Yeah.
Speaking
Very
of,
old
That's
school term.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just to say,
Yeah.
because I'm calling from the future. It's going dark for me outside, just so just so you know.
Well, okay, time zones. I'm in Central Time Zone. What time zones are you guys in?
We're British summertime at the moment, which is an hour ahead of Greenwich Mean Time.
Okay. So you're a little bit further west. I've been to Greenwich. Wonderful place. Didn't check out the Meantime Museum though. Should have done that. Mark, what time zone are you in? Are you in LA time?
yeah, Pacific Standard.
Pacific Standard. James?
Eastern Standard.
Eastern. Okay. And then Archmage?
Same Eastern.
Eastern.
Where are you
A little. I'm in Central Time. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm on Tulsa time is what they call it out here. Yeah,
you
Tulsa
the
time.
Tulsa
It's a little bit slower. What's that?
Are you the Tulsa King?
No, that's Sylvester Stallone. He comes to town and films that show every once in a while. I might be the Tulsa Jester. And the Psy is left of Greenwich.
Well, I know
So-
he's saying I'm on. It would ordinarily be Greenwich Mean Time, but we're on British summertime. We're an hour. Yeah, we turn our clocks forward. It's what we call daylight saving time.
Yeah, we got that too. Just different time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
ours is in November.
I'm over
Yeah,
here.
I think you do it at different times from when we do. I think ours goes forward in April and goes back in October.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
we're
that's
3 or 4 weeks off. So there's 3 or 4 weeks we're completely different than the rest of the
Yeah.
year.
That's it. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it.
I remember years ago, I used to do a show with a couple of Brits, a live show. And yeah, they had their time change. And I was like, it just threw me for a loop. I'm like, so now I have the math was always weird in my brain. And then we finally caught up again, where it's just a regular time difference. But you guys, twice in a lifetime. Let's get some overall. Now that we've talked about a lot of the issues, one thing we didn't talk about is this episode had the start of John and Tala getting jiggy with it and getting busy, but that plays out more in a later episode. But what's the overall feel that you guys have for this episode, as far as what we might see again in season 4, or how it might be important to the fandom or to the canon?
Well, there's one thing I had a question about, and maybe it was answered later on. Did they ever explicitly say how the Kalon knew where they were taking the Aranov device?
I don't think so.
But
I don't think they ever revealed it.
Don't we assume that it was Admiral Ted Danson, because wasn't he working with the Krill and didn't that, or I don't know, did that?
Not at this point, he wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't start trying to work with the Krill until the episode Domino, I believe.
Okay.
See, I had a whole theory running that turned out to be wrong at the time. I thought Charlie was a sleeper agent who didn't know she had been captured by the Kalon during that battle, but that turned out to be false. So
I do remember that conversation going around the internet, though. I see a lot of Orville theories and conversations going on every single day since 2017. Wow, I can't believe it. But no, I don't think we ever found out. I just always assumed a typical sci-fi thing is the enemy just got a hold of communications. They intercepted communications or something like that.
That, or they've got a very sophisticated bug on the Orville from when they took over that they just never discovered.
Well, also at that time, I remember thinking, oh, maybe Isaac is a sleeper agent still. Like maybe they put bugs. They put a bug in him when he returned to Kalon in the previous season.
He has hidden Wi-Fi in his butt or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he might, and that's where it would go. That's where Wi-Fi goes, right in the butt.
I'm glad they didn't do that to Isaac, though.
No, yeah, I'm glad. So far, Isaac's redemption has stayed strong. I'm not sure about Clyden as of yet, because he might be a sleeper agent who conveniently came back because maybe the Mocklin said, hey, why don't you go there and get some information for us? Just play along and pretend you're happy to be back.
If that's the case, he's a good actor.
Yeah. Yeah. Clyden's a good actor, and Chad Coleman's an even better actor. So.
By the way, speaking of the crew, I'm blanking at the moment. Was my fellow Baltimorean, Dr. Claire Finn, in this episode at all, really?
She's more of a background. I'm trying to remember.
She didn't really have a party at the beginning. But
yeah, she was. Gosh, she didn't really have anything to do in that episode, but I do feel like she was somewhere at the party at the very beginning of the episode.
She got to the bridge. I don't know if we saw her because when Gordon wasn't supposed to be the one to go shoot the device.
Yeah.
Was it Kelly? Somebody was injured who was supposed to do it. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, he said Paula to go do it, and then she,
Yeah, she got blasted by something. Yeah. And then Gordon says, I'll do it. Yeah. Gordon says that sometimes. If there's something to volunteer for, he'll do it. He goes, I'll do it.
That was my one quibble with this episode. I was like, why is Gordon going? He's supposed to be the best pilot. Shouldn't he be at the helm?
Well, he volunteered, and they were in the middle of a battle, so there was no time to think about it. Ed said, okay, go do it.
Yeah.
But also, it gets him to travel through time, so I guess it was convenient.
Exactly.
Convenient for the story.
That's my only quibble, but, I can live with it.
Let's see. Kimberly says, when did Claire talk to Laura? Are that Tala, Kelly, and Ed went down to the planet, and that was it? Tala only went the second time. When they went to Gordon's house at the end to take him before they decided that they're going to go back to 2015 because the Isaac came and contacted Ed and said, we found the dysonium, blah, 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 blah. So that's when Ed came up with the idea of going back to 2015. But before that, they were in Gordon's house to take Gordon back with them. And it was Ed, Tala, Kelly. Was that it? That might have been it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kelly was there, and Laura said, are you going to erase us? And Kelly said, we don't know. Like, is this going to erase us? And she told Laura, I don't know. But, it was the Orville crew standing in the living room together, and then the family across from them. So it was a quick scene, but Kelly was there because I just watched it today. So
I think we were talking about that scene earlier, and you might have accidentally said Claire instead of Kelly. Like an hour ago or something.
Yeah, there's no. I'm sorry, I do that sometimes, so it's my bad, Kimberly. Yeah, Claire did not talk to Laura.
That was in one of the.
Even right now, when I read your comment, I was thinking Kelly and not Claire. I'm not the smart guy Gordon was talking about.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That scene where they showed up at Gordon's store, watching that 4 a.m. for the first time when it aired here on the East Coast, I like jumped a little. Sitting there in the dark watching it, showing up like they're the Adjustment Bureau and just going in while Gordon's going, no.
Yeah, they became the Adjustment Bureau.
And even seeing the kid, little Edward or whatever, like reacting to a dude holding a gun.
Yeah, right.
And then seeing Kelly's face, like, I don't know if this is cool.
Yeah, right. But he was there. He said, we'll disappear. Gordon said, Ed said, well, what are you going to do? And he says, the gun is on stun. I'll knock you out. And when you wake up, we will be so far embedded into this world, you'll never find us. Mm-hmm. And he had a pew-pew. Do I have a pew-pew? Oh, my pew-pew's not nearby. It's over on the shelf. But I have a pew-pew.
Really, for all parties, there were kind of no good options until Isaac made that call about the disodium. And the Ed was just like, all right, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Yeah, right. They were going to take him by force. And Gordon even asked, what are you going to do? Take me by force? And Tal said, if I have to. But she didn't have to, thank goodness.
And this is the drama you get when you don't have transporters in your show.
That's right. Well, that's the drama they wanted. They said, when they created the show, they said, let's not do transporters because we don't want to have those moments where, there's a problem. And then you can just easily get out of it by being transported out. So we want to write something that works, and then we have to work our way out of a situation. So I appreciate that, though. I do miss transporters. Mm-hmm. That's always a cool technology.
What a tearjerker of a moment, too. Just them walking out and Gordon going, please don't do this.
Yeah, right. And they left time for facial reactions and for the audience to sit with the idea that, if it was on network television, it would have been cut down way too fast and you wouldn't be able to feel it. But they really took their time with it, which is why I had to edit out most of it because I'm like, that's too long for a live show. This is so true. No one expects the Orville Inquisition.
Well, how about that? How about that way they got
moment, isn't it?
What's that?
There you go.
What'd you get? Somebody was saying something. I was clicking on things.
Go ahead, Arch.
I was going to change the conversation to the time travel at the end, but we don't have to get to that yet. The old school time travel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, when they were actually just traveling through time because they took the deflectors down or whatever. So that, because I guess, or I don't know if it's the deflectors or something in the system that protects ships from traveling through time. What's that?
I think they called it the quantum bubble or something like that.
Yeah, the quantum bubble prevents you from traveling through time when you're going at great speeds in space, and they just took that down. I never expected that thing. I've never thought about anything like that. I've never thought about what the quantum bubble or the even in Star Trek, the whatever their shields or bubble or whatever they're using. I never thought about the warp bubble. I'm like, well, that's preventing people from going through time. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really cool. Didn't they change something about that as well when they were redoing the
time stuff?
Yeah,
I think so. I think
something about the colors or something.
Oh, the colors are what kind of like blue and red or something like that. The colors were actually accurate to what the colors would be if you were really time traveling that way. They made it realistic, at least according to scientific theory.
This red shit.
Yeah. Because there's no footage of what the sky what the stars look like when you actually are time traveling. Scientists always have a theory about everything, so they use a proven theory.
Talking of time theory, how many years do we think season 4 will be set after season 3?
I think it'll be however much time it takes between season 3 and season 4.
I would guess the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Marcus and Ty.
They're older now.
I mean, they must be like quarterbacks now. I mean, you can't.
I saw Marcus BJ Tanner at the Orville premiere in LA, and man, he's a man. He is a man. And then I also met Kai, who plays Ty on the show. Still looks like Ty, but definitely taller than I expected. And now it's been a year and a half, 2 years since I met him. And I'm sure he's way bigger now than he was then. He's probably getting close to 16 years old.
It could also be funny if they just acted like nothing was different, like that Hot American Summer movie they did. Just
the same, just with some bad wigs.
Just 35-year-old people going to elementary school.
Oh man, no! I bet you time has passed, however much time it's been since we've seen them last, and then also I am wondering about Topa. I'm wondering about Topa because Topa ages quickly. Topa's really only 3 years old. And but she's equivalent to a 17-year-old in season 3. Will she be even older in season 4, having a couple more years to grow? Will she be a full adult? How old is Bortus and Clyden? Maybe they're only like 10 years old. How fast do Mocklins grow? We don't truly know.
Well, I assume Bortus has to at least be old enough to have gone through a full academy and rank up to commander or whatever.
Yeah,
but at least 15, maybe.
Yeah, it might be 15 or 20, because that would be because what they're going to do in the 4th season is have funny things that we learn about Mocklins. They do it every single season. Oh, they're addicted to nicotine. They're addicted to porn, things like that. There will be something in season 4 that we learn about the Mocklins. I just want to learn about actual Mockless. I want to learn about Mockless society and Mockless government and why they treat women the way that they treat them. They treat them so poorly that they erase them from history. They erase them from the public.
Although I kind of wonder how much interaction they'll have. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of stuff with the Mocklins having left the Union now. But, I think Bortus and Clyden are kind of done with them after the events of Midnight Blue.
Yeah, because at least Bortus is realizing, hey, the society he comes from is just plain wrong. It's just bad. I do find it interesting that there are Mocklins in the Union, kind of, and they're all the female Mocklins.
So where does Bortus Gelogia now? He can't go.
They probably have to go somewhere. They went to a planet for their for when Bortus and Clyden reestablished their relationship. They went to a planet and did the whole mating chase. The chase. So I assume they just have to pick some other planet. They have to. He has to pick a new spot to pee every year, but I bet you it's the same spot every year. So whatever he chose, they have to go back to that spot, because at least that was the original tradition, was you pick one spot and every year you go back to that spot. So maybe it's on Earth.
Or they recreate it in the holographic simulator, and then after they turn it off, well, now you got a pee corner.
Yeah, now you got an actual pee corner. That would be another great joke. Like, what happens to bodily fluids that didn't originate from the holographic emitters?
They just make Dan clean it up in the background or something.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, Dan would be the one. Maybe Gordon will volunteer, because he volunteers for everything.
The slow clap at the end of that ceremony was everything.
Yeah, right. That sold the whole thing, because he's like, well, what do we do? They're just holding their heads together. I guess it's over. Yeah, that was funny. And it was a human moment, which is always nice. The Mocklins are always reminding us about humanity by being so different than humanity. It reminds us how to be, I feel.
That actually reminds me of one of the first things I ever said to you on Twitter, because they usually follow up with everything. They follow up with in the first episode where Bortus says, Mocklins only urinate once a year.
Yeah, I never thought that would come up again.
So they followed that up with the Jaloja thing. But one thing they never did follow up was that series 1 episode where they had Bortus eating all the cactus and the glass and all that kind of stuff. And you actually said on Twitter, what would you like to see what would you like to see Bortus eat in season 2? And I said Michael Burnham. And
that's murder.
That's true. Well, I would like to see in season 4 an episode where Bortus has to eat them out of trouble. Like if the bars or something like that, where he has to eat something really ghastly to get them out of a fix. That's
absolutely. I mean, we know Mocklins are must be allergic to walnut shells. Because they or unless they were just trying to be, it's human tradition to open the shell and eat it and eat the interior meat. But I don't think of Mocklins would care about that. They would just want to eat the whole thing, unless they can't. Because Bortus said, I can eat many things. He never said he can eat anything. So what things can a Mocklin not eat? would be something to learn in season 4. There's so many things. What's that?
Just something very common and benign.
Yeah, maybe he can't eat a banana, and you're not supposed to. So he does fear the banana.
It would have to be the banana.
Let's see. Bortus could eat those spider people, and that's another thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
we need them for season 4.
Yeah, we have to see them because I do know they designed those creatures to have more phases of development that we didn't see in the episode because there's just, you have to learn more. You have to see them keep growing. We didn't have time for that, but they I think we saw phase 2, but there's 2 more phases in the evolution of the spider people. Hopefully we'll see them again. And are they going to be a big problem to the Krill? The Krill are our enemies. Do we need the spider people? Or are the spider people going to be something we're able to use to freak out the Krill so we can get the upper hand in a situation?
Admiral, what's his name, might retain a little bit of his intelligence.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right. We'll have to see. I don't know. And that's another thing I love about the Orville is we don't have the answers, and there's so many directions any situation can go. I've recently seen on Twitter people are calling for Tomlin to come back on the show. Tomlin was the character played by Bruce, the kid who stars in the Ted series. Can't remember his name, but people are saying, hey, he played Tomlin in the episode If the Stars Should Appear, the Bioship episode. They're like, let's bring him back as a cadet. Now that he knows that there's the Union, space, and other planets and other people, maybe he becomes a cadet and we can get him on the Orville for season 4. Since we don't have Charlie.
What's her name? Lacella?
Lacella. She's there now.
Never expected her to pop up again.
Yeah. I never expected her to pop up, but I also didn't expect her to stay once she did. No. I was like, oh, she'll end up going back, and she almost did, and then she decided to stay. So now she's on the ship now. So she's going to be part of season 4. I mean, at least to find out what happened to her. Did she become part of the Union, or did she open up a coffee shop, or is she the best coffee shop barista on the ship, something like that? Or did she decide to become an officer? Is she in her training? So many questions for season 4, but I love that we can just have theories after theories after theories, because I plan on doing a ton of theories videos. So the more theories people got, send them my way. I'll eventually be able to make videos about them, but I already have a ton in my head.
So we already said that we want to see the Gordon's family from the multiverse. probably
Yeah.
again in season 4. Is there anything else from this episode that we want to see again in season 4?
Well, I want to see Charlie. She's theoretically dead, but I have a way of bringing her back, which will be one of my videos.
Human form Isaac, not exclusive to this episode, but it was great in this episode.
Yeah, we need more of that. We need, because it was very extensive. Human formed Isaac. We got a lot of it in this episode. I want a lot more of that. Going on adventures, away missions, more away missions. I would love to see.
Claire and the boys.
Claire and the boys. I'm sure we got a whole story there. Maybe something will happen, and Marcus wants to join a cause, and is maybe wants to leave the ship and join the Maquis or something like that, and that might be an issue. Also, are there any repercussions from the time travel from this episode, from the interaction with that bar and the motorcycle club and the patrons of the bar? Did they leave an imprint? The lady that was selling the house where they were trying to mine the Dysonium. What's up with that? Is there any butterfly effects type of stuff going on?
Hanging out there an extra hour.
Yeah, right.
She wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, or maybe she starts telling stories about the couple that she met and the weird stuff they were saying. I mean, it could go on and on and on, a butterfly effect, but it gets very complicated because we don't know how things can build upon other things. The smallest thing.
Oh, but with the other family, the 2025 family, had some thoughts about that. They can have a lot of fun with that. Where, he's Gordon. He's got his pistol still, and he has knowledge of the future in tech. And now he's not so happy, and maybe that kind of inspires him and his kids. We don't know the sex of the younger one yet, but say that let's just say the two boys. They can have real fun casting older versions of those children. Like, I just had one of those random thoughts the other day where maybe they can get a couple of famous actor redheads, maybe one redhead, one not a redhead, pop in, like the Howard brothers, Clint and Ron Howard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even another series.
Or even
Ron back in front of the camera.
Yeah, even if there's a girl, you could get Bryce Dallas Howard.
There you go. There you go. And that would be get them into some more sci-fi. And they could maybe not be so happy in the universe that they're in, but they've been studying hard with engineering, and their dad knows, okay, this is possible. I don't know how it works, but I know it works. And they can reverse engineer from the pistol. There's a lot of goodies in there they could have fun with.
Yeah, well, remember, time travel is so complicated, but remember when they first learned that Gordon got thrown back in time, they looked him up. He had a history. There was a eulogy that they were able to read all about the accomplishments of Gordon Malloy and this and that. Does this mean that if they took him away, does this mean that they never saw that memorial of his? If he didn't live that life, how did they see that memorial? Time travel.
That was a possibility if they didn't go back to get him.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. So that's another reason I think, hey, he still exists. He's still out there. Him and his family. It's just a different version of Gordon.
Did Isaac look at it? Isaac looked at the obituary or the eulogy, right?
Yeah, he showed it to everyone in the meeting room.
Yeah, so maybe he's the only one that has a physical record of it in his memory banks, but it doesn't exist in any real Earth records or anything.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the case. Maybe it got erased from the timeline, but of course they don't have time to show that or even to think about it because that's a small thing to bring up at the end of an episode. That would just raise more questions. Like, we're going to need more episodes. Yeah, right.
With deodorant ad or something.
Yeah, the whole situation, that whole conversation didn't happen between Isaac and the rest of the crew in the meeting room. And I think they went back in time. not only because of the message that Gordon left, but because they saw the eulogy and they're like, oh, it's real. It really happened. But now if it's erased from the memory, they might not think it really happened.
Well, here's the other question. They jumped twice. So does the fact that they jumped from one time period back again kind of cement the first time period?
Oh,
because they left it. When they left that time period, wouldn't it kind of resolve itself into existence?
Yeah, well, there's so many different time travel theories. I think when you leave a timeline, you just left the timeline. The timeline still goes on without you.
They can't do it, but it exists.
Yeah, I mean they can't get there, but I think it's when it splits off into I think it's the multiverse thing. They can never get back to it, but it still exists without them.
Until Gordon invents a portal gun.
That's right. Jumps to wherever he wants to go.
I think Barry in the chat is right. I think it was John that brought up the obituary of Gordon, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
John became a little bit of more of a leader in season 3 when it comes to who's in charge of the tech and theories and things like that. And usually Isaac was in a supportive role.
If we're going by Doctor Who rules, then if they saw it, then it's kind of cemented and fixed anyway now. So it's possible that it split off into a multiverse situation.
Yeah. Well, the example of where my time travel mind is at, I've brought this up many times over the years. It all comes from an episode of Darkwing Duck. When Darkwing went into the future to stop something, and then when he got to the future, it was a future that existed without him there because he left the timeline 20, 30 years ago. He wasn't there to live out. He wanted to meet himself, but himself was not there because he wasn't there to live it out because he jumped through time. And the world was a worse place. So I think that's just kind of where my mind is at when it comes to time travel.
I think he jumped because Gosling was abducted.
What's that?
I think he jumped because Gosling had been abducted.
He's trying to save something.
Yeah, the universe existed where she had died, so he turned evil.
Oh, wow. He goes, so it was, that's why I'm thinking, will there be a version of Gordon, an evil version of Gordon that comes back for revenge for losing his family?
Wrath of Malloy.
Yeah, Wrath of Malloy. I call this one Killing the Donkey.
I think if you're following Doctor Who rules, it's basically all explained by wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
Yeah, that's how I deal. That's how I deal with time travel. I never try to make sense of any Doctor Who time travel. As much as I love it, I'm like, don't try to make sense. This is just all in good fun and craziness. The Orville, I'm like, okay, this makes sense some way somehow. They have Neil deGrasse Tyson on retainer to be their science guide. Let's see. Streak 9 says, if he goes back and changed Laura's life, she never got married to that other guy. How did Gordon see it on her iPhone? And he could have never made a hologram program of her. I guess it exists until you make it not exist, I guess. But yeah, that's true. If he went and changed her life, there would be a multiverse Orville where lasting impressions never happened. But that also means he never would have known about Laura in the first place in order to marry, to want to find her and marry her in 2015.
So
it goes on and on.
So Tuvok never showed up then.
No, Tuvok he was there as a archaeologist on the Orville.
So he just showed up without the phone, or a different phone.
Yeah. But
when did she put the phone in the time capsule? Was that before 2015 or after?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think it was 2015 is when they did the time capsule. Gordon was there for months before he decided to leave the forest and go find Laura. So
I think they said in the original episode they made it 2015 because they didn't want to have current political issues a part of the phone that was left.
Fair play.
Yeah, because 1 year later it would have been a very different content on that phone.
But I mean, in terms of that, I can't remember in lasting impressions if they said when Laura got back together with Greg, was it? But,
I don't think they said when. They just said she does.
Yeah, because like Gordon said he waited for what 3 or 4 years, and then he went and found her.
I don't remember the timeline very well on that, but yeah, he waited a while and then he went.
Yeah,
because he murdered all those animals for 3 years.
Yeah,
He's a serial
which is
murderer.
illegal in the union in the union time. People living on union time.
yeah. I was trying to put that timeline together because I was like, well, didn't she get back together with him in like 2015 or 2016? But then Gordon was like, oh, I found her 3 or 4 years later because I got tired of killing animals in a hut in the woods.
Yeah.
No,
Well, also, just because they
broke up a lot.
Yeah, and it can be just because the phone said they eventually get back together. It doesn't mean they stayed together more than a week or two after she buried that phone in the time capsule.
Totally true. Yeah,
But I mean, it's fair to assume she was supposed to be with somebody and probably have children with that somebody. But also, it's time travel. Maybe that somebody was always meant to be Gordon.
He even said, maybe I'm my own grandpa or whatever.
Yeah, right. That's something
funny.
Gordon would say. That's what he would wonder.
Another time traveling redhead.
Yeah, right.
How do you know their ancestors aren't supposed to give birth to you or to me?
Exactly.
He was so excited about the idea.
Yeah, that was him having a smart guy idea.
what if Laura and Greg had given birth to an ancestor of Dr. Aronov?
Oh my goodness! And now,
To be fair, didn't he kind of steal the credit? Because wasn't it a female doctor who was kind of running it in the first episode, and she got killed?
she was.
And now he just slapped his name on it.
Yeah, right. Because you're right, isn't it? Well, I mean, he was having the female scientist to show it, but I don't know. I have to go back and watch that now and really really dissect that. I'm like, is he stealing this woman's work just because she died? I mean, that's a vulture move right there. But yeah, she died. She died horribly, and we think about her every day, and we're sorry. She needs a eulogy. Maybe that's a video I'll do someday. I'll do a eulogy for everyone that died on the Orville, because there's not that many really. As long as you don't count the whole Kalon invasion episode.
PJ.
Hey, there's PJ. PJ, I'm hoping, if you can't make it, that's fine. I'm hoping you're able to join us for the Union next week. We're going to have Mike Richards from Mission Log, Elise. I don't know if I can say her last name. If I will say it correctly, is it Hardgrave? So anyway, she's the maker of the Orville video game. We're going to have Eric Moran, the creator of the Orville fan series, A Planetary Step, and we're all going to be talking about season 1 of the Orville for this first Union live stream. And the next one next month, we'll talk about season 2, and the one after that be season 3, and then we'll start going into detail on other things with the Orville. But we also got to talk about season 4. So hopefully you're able to make it. If you are, just let me know. I'll send you a link so you can join. The link is sent out to all the others. But if you can't make it for this one, maybe one of the other ones. It's all good. PJ Orville Nation says, woohoo! Let's see. Brian says Janice Lee did the math and Aronov made the device. Okay. I'm still going to double check it though. I'm going to say, hey, because I have to double check. I have to know everything for sure when it comes to the Orville, because enough time has passed with certain things from the Orville that I start to get a little foggy. So I have to always go refresh myself. I've probably seen something from I've seen some sort of Orville content every day of my life since 2017. I think I started covering the Orville the very tail end of September of 2017, or maybe the beginning of October. I can't remember. There's no point in remembering. I'm just on Orville time for a good part of my life. And with that, you guys, I think it's probably time to end the stream. Family time, Gelogia time, corner piece time, P-corner time, whatever time you guys got going on. But you guys in the audience, I want to thank you for joining this very first We Are the Orville stream. We're going to be doing another one a month from now. I have it scheduled for June 1st. You can click in the description below if you want to put your name in the hat to join the next stream. Maybe some of you guys, maybe your names will be pulled out of the hat as well. It's an Orville hat. To join us, we'll be doing it all again. We're going to be talking about the episode Into the Fold, which is
we don't see more faces.
That episode, people don't talk about it a lot, but when that episode came out, a lot of fans had different opinions from each other about stuff that was going on in the episode, what Claire did in the episode, what she did. And some people are like, you can't do that, and other people are like, she's a mother in a situation, she can do that. But that's what we're going to talk about. If you want to join, be considered to be one of the 5. Click on the link below, and don't forget to join the Union live stream next week with leaders of the Orville fandom. And I want to thank you guys for showing up. If some of your links, Alex's link and ARCHMAGEFREY's links are in the description below, and if the rest of you fellas have some links you want to share, just send them my way, and I'll put them in the show notes after the fact. But any parting words from you guys about the Orville in general, the Orville fandom, Seth MacFarlane of it all?
It's just been great to have a mostly, because nothing's 100% positive and optimistic group of people for, the sci-fi community or any community in the modern age. So it's
I agree. Yep. Completely agree. This is the one fandom that is mostly positive when it comes to utopian sci-fi, and I just, I keep trying to always keep going to do EGOTASTIC Fun Time, but I'm always come back to the Orville because that is what I love talking about and making content about, and talking to you guys. So I want to thank you all for being here, and all of you as well that are watching us right now.
Thank you again for doing this, JP, and for having all of us.
Thanks a lot. I was so nervous. I'm not a talking to a bunch of people at once type of guy, and I was like, you know what? I need to get over that. I need to do it, and need to put it together on the internet, which is a whole other thing of worries. I'm like, can I get everyone together on the same time, the same place? Oh, what's going to happen? If only I had an RNOV device. But I think it all worked out. And I want to say thank you all. If you want to support the channel, if you want to get me back on Create Stuff Time, you can support the channel by clicking on the links in the description, PayPal, Patreon, and or just in the comments, say hello. It makes me feel so good. Tell me what you love about the Orville, and I'll see you all very soon. And as always, I hope all your times are Orville-tastic fun times, because we all do better when we all do better together. Love you.
And
bye-bye.
Hopefully again, twice in a lifetime.
Twice in a lifetime. Quattro in a lifetime. All right. Love you. Bye-bye.